I feel like Superman right now. So today, I told a few of you before we came into this talk that I was going to teach you how to feel like Superman by the end of this talk. So if you showed up, count yourself among the lucky few. So I have been doing research for about the past year on different types of ways to access happiness in the brain. So I like to do my talks on internal freedom. And so for the past year, I've been studying a state called flow, which is similar to meditation and meditative state. However, it has some different elements to it. So what's different about it is in a meditative state, you're supposed to focus on just one thing. In flow state, you can do everything at one time and do it in this super awesome, perfect way that's seamless. So it's basically this perfect Superman state where you can do anything. So basically, what it is. Oh, we're putting that up. I'm good on putting it up there. We don't need that. I just want to plug it in. Okay. Yeah, no. I want to show them all my notes. All right, so. Okay, so what it is, thank you. What it is in positive psychology, flow is known as the zone. So many of you have heard of the zone. Athletes talk about it, artists talk about it. It's this state where you get into this place where you're completely absorbed in the thing that you're doing so much that you forget to eat, you forget to drink water, and suddenly you're out of it and you're starving. You're so thirsty because you forgot about it, because you're so absorbed in the thing that you're doing. And the neuroscience term for this is flow. So, everybody in this room has experienced flow at some point in their life. However, the problem is that not many of us have the ability to access it at will, whenever you feel it. And that's what I'm going to teach you how to do today. So, the benefits of flow are intense and focused concentration on the present moment, merging of action and awareness, a loss of reflective self-consciousness, so basically the ego melts away in this moment, which allows you to perform at a faster rate, because you're not constantly thinking about how you look in the moment. Instead, you're just in the moment. So it's very similar to a meditative state, which I want to do a lot more research on and come back and talk to you on next year. But anyway, rabbit hole. A sense of personal control or agency over the situation or activity, so you feel like you have, like I said, Superman. You're in complete control of the situation, and nothing feels out of your control. A distortion of temporal experience. One's subjective experience of time is altered. So basically, you don't feel time pass. If you've ever sat on YouTube for 8 hours and suddenly you look up and you thought it was an hour and you've been sitting there for 8 hours on the internet, that's that experience. But try to use it wisely for work or the things that you're passionate about. And then experience of the activity as intrinsically rewarding, as referred to as autotelic experience. So it's an end in and of itself. It's just, you're doing the thing for the thing. If you're doing it for someone else, it's not going to work. You have to be doing it because it's internally gratifying. So, flow is capable of improving the quality of existence by creating order in the mind. It has the potential to make life more rich, more intense, more meaningful. It's good because it increases the strength and complexity of the self. It also creates an intense sense of freedom, being rightly called the Superman state. So, a little bit about the background of the research. A lot of you have heard of Csikszentmihalyi. He and his fellow researchers began researching flow state after he saw artists intensely ingrained in their work, and he thought it was so beautiful and he wanted to harness this state to allow people to be able to access it whenever they wanted. And there is a great project called the Flow Genome Project out in Houston, which is The Rise of Superman, is where I got most of this information, which you should all read. It's a book by Steve runs the Flow Genome Project. And this state has been studied through a flow gym that they have in Houston. Put a helmet on you, and it measures the waves in your brain, and it allows you to access flow state by the activities that you do. So they have a gym that allows you to access it, which is super cool. And I really want to visit it. It's on my bucket list. So flow has been recognized throughout history and across cultures. The teachings of Buddhism and of Taoism speak of a state of mind known as the action of inaction, or doing without doing, Wu Wei, that greatly resembles the idea of flow. A few of you in this room know that I am Taoist. If you don't, I'm a Taoist. And so when I learned about this state, I immediately saw the connection between the two. And then when I did the research, obviously Chicks Have Me High had made the connection before I did. And it makes sense that it's called flow state because of the fact that, Taoism talks about flow all the time. And if you haven't read the Tao Te Ching, it is an amazing book, life-changing. You should absolutely read it. And I'm happy to talk to people more about Taoism outside. But the real question is, how do you get to this state? So, flow state is where high skill and high challenge meet. You start with a task that's slightly higher in challenge level than skill level. And as you learn the task, your skill increases to the point where you can competently perform the challenging task, and this causes you to propel into flow state. So before propelling into flow state, people will experience an intense anxiety as they begin to realize they don't have the skill to perform the task. Most of the time this happens accidentally, but luckily I'm going to tell you how to do it on purpose. So as you progress in the task, you will begin feeling mental arousal as the brain compensates for the learning and stores the knowledge needed to succeed in the task. And then you'll feel a state of flow when you accomplish the task. So, the 4 stages of flow are struggle, relaxation, peak flow state, and consolidation. And they are in that order every time. So, and when I say every time, when you go down from flow state, you will feel an intense anxiety and realization that you're no longer in flow state. And a lot of people panic and try and get it back because their work isn't done. And they will try to get back immediately into flow. You have to start the cycle from the beginning. Otherwise, you can't access it. So, let's start with struggle. Struggle is when you're working hard, pushing to train, research, brainstorming, when you're overloading the brain with information until it feels like your head's going to explode. Most people never push past this first stage far enough, and this is why they constantly miss the doorway into the flow experience. So some ways to activate flow and to cause that struggle state are, I play guitar for 45 minutes every morning, and I play a song that's just a little bit harder, and I'm not very good at guitar, so it's actually pretty easy to find a song that's harder. So I struggle with that song until I get it, and then when I get it, then I go into relaxation stage. But a couple more other ways before I go into relaxation stage is to do a workout that's a little bit harder than you're used to. That's also physical struggle, it also qualifies. Read a chapter of a book that's a little more content-rich than you're used to and that has words that you kind of struggle with. For me, that's science. So subjects that you kind of struggle with, those are great activators for flow state. And meditate for 10 minutes longer than usual. And if you don't meditate, just meditate for 10 minutes because anybody that's ever meditated knows how how hard an extra 10 minutes can be. But I actually discovered a new one just a couple minutes ago. I was completely panicking before my speech. I'm like, this is very content-rich, I'm freaking out, I need to activate flow state, and I didn't have enough time to go play my guitar for 45 minutes, nor do I have my guitar here. And I was trying to figure out how to activate it. I pulled up some riddles, and I actually solved like 3 riddles, and that activated the struggle stage enough for me launched into the flow within 10 minutes. So there are shortcuts to it, and riddles I found is a great shortcut if you're pressed for time. So, but again, you get out of it what you put into it. It's really important. I know it seems like a long process, but what's important is when you get in that process, you're going to save so much time on the work that you're doing. It's unreal. So, relaxation stage is next. So once you have that struggle stage and you solve the problem, you immediately want to go do something decompressing. So meditate, go work out. However, there is a caveat. Do not go watch TV. Do mindless things. You can read a book. That's intellectual. But you have to keep the mind working. But it needs to be working at a low level. Do about 10-15 minutes of relaxation, and then you'll feel peak flow state start. So, this is the Superman experience, when inspiration takes over and your preparation and relaxing express themselves almost magically. You come up with the best ideas, you achieve results almost effortlessly, you can often surprise yourself by your own performance, except for you don't notice until after you're out of flow state, because again, your ego has melted away. You're not applauding yourself for things, therefore distracting yourself from the task at hand. You're not aggravated with yourself for mistakes. You just immediately pick up and do what is necessary to complete the task. There's no frustration, there's no anxiety, you're just, I would say it's the closest thing to being on pod and NCT at the same time. You just feel so good, and you just feel so much smarter than you've ever been in your whole life. And it really is the most freeing experience in the world to know that I can just choose to be productive whenever I feel it, and to conquer the world whenever I feel it. And that to me is freedom. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the neuroscience behind it, because I've been telling you about this flow state, and some of you may be kind of wondering if it's real. So I want to talk about the neuroscience, what actually happens in the brain. So, how many people in here know what the prefrontal cortex in the brain does? Can anyone tell me? Yeah? Yes, it is your logic and reason section. So this section actually goes offline. It's not even functioning, which allows you to stop second-guessing yourself. A lot of athletes will talk about this concept when they're in the zone of the voice. And if you listen to the voice, you'll always do what is right. It's basically all of the information that you've stored in a different center of your brain coming forward very fast. And it doesn't have to pass through the logic part of your brain and get accepted. Instead, it just is. Because you already know the right actions to take. I mean, this is something you're passionate about. You already know what to do. There's a great story in The Rise of Superman where he talks about this surfer that went into this wave, and it was a very, very dangerous situation. And he realized very quickly that if he kept going at the rate he was going to go, the wave was going to crash into him, and he was going to end up sinking down and hitting the reef. And a lot of surfers had died in this particular area. He was luckily in flow state, and the voice told him, drop your hand. It had never been done before. Dragging and surfing had never been discovered before. He just dropped his hand, and it saved his life. Nobody had ever done it, and he just knew instinctively what to do. A lot of people here forget that we're actually animals as well. So they forget that we have this instinct, we have this survival instinct in us. And when we let our logic brain take over, it often can prevent us from accomplishing a task instead of help us. I mean, it's situational, but when you do the prep work to prepare for the task with your logic brain, you can shut it down when you're doing the task. So activating that instinctual side is a huge aspect of flow. So next, so the prefrontal cortex goes offline, and During flow, the dorsal prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain charged with self-monitoring and impulse control, goes quiet. So the dorsal prefrontal cortex is our inner critic, that voice of doubt and disparagement. So you know how I said the ego goes offline? That is the part of your brain that controls your ego, where you go, well, I'm not comfortable with this because it might make me look stupid. You never think about that in flow state. You just do. You never think about how it's going to look to other people, which is where the best creations come from. Like, geniuses are constantly seen as crazy people. And it's because they're able to activate this flow state and they don't care. Because they're just doing. Because it's an intrinsic and autotelic activity. It is an end in and of itself. It's not being done for anyone else. It's being done because it is good. So, lastly, during flow, the brain releases an enormous cascade of neurochemistry. Large quantities of norepinephrine, dopamine, endorphins, anandamide, and serotonin flow into our system. All are pleasure-inducing, performance-enhancing chemicals, and consider having considerable impact on creativity. So you know how I said it's like a mixture of weed and NCT? That's that weed effect. It's the chemicals in your brain just flooding you with happiness. You just feel so good on the scene. And you can kind of tell in a minute. So it also lowers signal-to-noise ratios, increasing pattern recognition or our ability to link ideas together in new ways. And it increases lateral thinking, meaning it expands the size of the database searched by the pattern recognition system. So basically, what's really cool about the flood of chemicals is suddenly your brain is maximizing its fullest potential because it's like on speed. So basically, your brain is able to take everything you've ever learned in your whole life and connect it all together to come up with a solution. And there's no blockage. So you'll pull information from over here and over here and over here to come up with the perfect solution. It'll happen instantaneously. Everything in flow feels like it's just one steady stream. You never feel like you're pausing to try and figure out the answer. The answer just comes to you. So, when in flow state be entered? That is really important. A flow state can be entered while performing any activity, although it is most likely to occur when one is wholeheartedly performing a task or activity for intrinsic purposes, for an end in and of itself, not for another person. Passive activities like taking a bath or even watching TV usually do not elicit the flow experiences, as individuals have to actively do something to enter a flow state. While the activity that induces flow may vary and be multifaceted, Csikszentmihalyi asserts that the experience of flow is similar despite the activity. So, flow theory postulates 3 conditions that have to be met to achieve flow state. First, one must be involved in an activity with a clear set of goals and progress. This adds direction and structure to the task. So you have to know exactly where you're trying to go and know exactly how to get there. And that's that struggle phase. It's that playing the guitar for 45 minutes, it's doing the riddles. You have to have a plan and follow it through and know exactly where you're trying to get. So I need to complete 3 logic puzzles. I need to do 45 minutes of guitar and complete this song and understand this new chord and be able to transition the chord. So it is about having those clear sets of goals. And with working out, it's I have to accomplish this workout that's hard. And I have to do it in this amount of time. So it's about having a time frame, it's about having a plan. That struggle state is really important. So the task at hand must have a clear and immediate feedback. This helps the person negotiate any changing demands and allows them to adjust their performance to maintain flow state. So, clear and immediate feedback. I can tell when I've accomplished a song and I'm able to transition chords. I can tell when I've completed my workout. I can tell when I solved the logic puzzle. It can't be an activity that you can't shoot into flow state with an activity that you can't tell that the result is complete. So it has to be immediate feedback activities. And one must have a good balance between the perceived challenges of the task at hand and their own perceived skills. So one must have confidence in one's ability to complete the task at hand. So it has to be a task that you're comfortable with, but not comfortable quite enough with the level at which you're taking it to. So like I said, trying to record has to be something that you're just a little slightly uncomfortable with. So some of the challenges of staying in flow state include a state of apathy, boredom, and anxiety. Being in a state of apathy is characterized when challenges are low and one's skill level is low, producing a general lack of interest in the task at hand. So being apathetic towards it is not going to produce flow state. Boredom is slightly different state in that it occurs when challenges are low, but one's skill level exceeds those challenges, causing one to seek higher challenges. So we get very bored when things are easy, and that will not produce a flow state. And it actually will pull you out of flow state if you start doing tasks in flow state that are low challenge, which, if that happens, just cycle back through the process. Lastly, a state of anxiety occurs when challenges are so high that they exceed one's perceived skill level, causing one great distress and unease. So, too much challenge can also prevent you from going into flow state. So there are a lot of rules, but it's worth trying to find that balance because flow state is awesome. So, these states in general differ from being in a state of flow, in that flow occurs when challenges match one's skill level. And, yeah. So, let me just go over the benefits one more time, because I want to reiterate how awesome flow state really is. The benefits are intense and focused concentration on the present moment, merging of action and awareness, a sense of, or a loss of reflective self-consciousness, the ego melts away, a sense of personal control or agency over situation or activity. You feel like Superman, you can literally fight a giant or move a building. Don't try that. A distortion of temporal experience. One's subjective experience of time is altered. So you feel time slow down. Experience of the activity is intrinsically rewarding, also referred to as autotelic experience. So it's an end in and of itself. You won't have to do it for anyone else to feel good. So, it can improve the quality of existence by creating order in the mind, as the potential to make life more rich, more intense, more meaningful. It's good because it increases the strength and complexity of the self. It creates an intense sense of freedom, and it's rightly called the Superman effect. So, how does this help with freedom and happiness? It allows you to be able to control your mind. It allows you to be able to do anything you want to do. Have you ever had something that you desperately wanted to accomplish, but you just couldn't do it? You didn't have the motivation or energy, you kept getting distracted. And how many people in here have felt this way? Exactly. This state, if you can project yourself into it and figure out the right formula for you, it will allow you to never have that frustrating moment ever again. I know I'm somebody that has a really hard time focusing on a task. I have a lot of ADD. It's really fun sometimes, but it's not fun when you're trying to start a business, trying to get a YouTube video done, trying to make a better world for yourself and for the people that you love, which includes the whole liberty movement for me. This will allow you to be able to achieve every dream that you have ever wanted. And I want that for the people in this movement, because I want to see every one of you happy. Because I truly believe that it is not the idea and concept of freedom that we truly want, it's happiness that we want. The only reason I believe, or that I want freedom, is so that I am free to pursue my happiness. So this tool gives you the ability to have happiness now, instead of waiting for the day that people finally wake up and we're able to finally be free. You can have it right now. And I is what is going to change the world and finally wake people up to their ability to be free. Because when you're confident in yourself and your abilities, you stop wanting the state. You stop wanting someone to control you and tell you what to do because you believe that you are capable of doing it for yourself. So happiness is empowering. And that is my time. Questions? Was I that thorough? Come on, guys.
Where can we find resources to kind of research point us in the direction?
Yeah, he asked where the resources are that you can access this. First of all, me. You're all welcome to message me. Second of all, The Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler. Such a good book. And anything from the Flow Genome Project. So if you go on the Flow Genome Project site, you'll be able to find everything. And they are awesome. I'm telling you, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna make a video and it's gonna be so epic. You're gonna watch me like be in the gym with a helmet. It's gonna be really funny. Because I'll probably fall or something awkward. Yes. Yeah, that is a great question. So she asked, have I ever had an experience where I've cycled out of the flow state and then cycled back in it? And how many times I was able to cycle back in it? It's infinite. You can cycle back in it until you get tired. The only obstacle to it is that once you come out of flow state, you suddenly realize how hungry and tired and everything else you are. So if you're not too tired or hungry, obviously take that break, take a nap. Don't push yourself too hard, mainly because then the struggle state is just, it becomes, anxiety. So the struggle state becomes anxiety. As I talked about, anxiety is the anti-flow state. If you feel that the challenge is too hard, you won't be able to propel into flow state. And if you're really tired or hungry, any task that you try and perform above your skill level or even on your skill level, I don't know if any of you have ever tried to do something. Well, no, I know every one of you have tried to do something when you're tired, and you can't even do the things you would normally do. So I wouldn't try to activate flow state there. But in like a normal day, during my lunch break at work, I'll often come out of flow state. If I remember to eat lunch, that normally doesn't happen. I normally end the day, oh no. I have a bottle of water on hand and an energy bar because I know this is going to happen. So, but you're able to, I normally exit flow state right about lunch hour. And I eat, I restore myself, but I'm not tired because it's halfway through the day. And flow state doesn't expend any extra energy. That's what's really cool about it is that you actually are able to feel more energized throughout the day because of the chemicals going on in your brain. And even when you take a break, you didn't expend any extra energy during the day than you would have outside of flow state, yet you're getting like twice as much done. So, and with practice, like 3 or 5 more times things done. Because you get better at your task that you're doing, so you're able to just keep. And the restoration state is really important. I do it during lunch hour, and I allow my brain to just process everything. That way when I launch back into the struggle phase again, and I do, like I'll go work out or something, which my coworkers think is super weird, because I'll go in the back and just do burpees until I can't breathe. And then I'll meditate. I swear, my coworkers think I'm the craziest person ever. But then I'll perform all of them, and they can't laugh at me anymore. So, jokes on them. Anyway, it's fairly easy to get back into it as long as you have an activity. And now that I have the logic puzzles, I probably won't have to do burpees at the office anymore. So, that'll be probably good. Because I'm thinking they're going to put relaxation stage does is you have that struggle and you just feel really frustrated and everything is really tense. And then you do meditation. Meditation is, for me, just, I come out of it feeling, I don't know, very happy. Even when I don't do the struggle stage first, I just come out of meditation like, I'm just walking around, having things on the planet. Yeah, no, it's the physiological activity. I like to go to the gym sometimes, mainly because the experience you have entering flow state after you've done the struggle state, go to the gym and then you meditate, you just come out and you're like, yeah, I'm strong. Yeah, I can kick everybody's ass right now. So it's a whole different meditation. It's just like, I'm so happy. And then when you do a workout first, you just feel like, yeah, I can take everybody on. Yo, bring it on. Yeah, you feel powerful and strong. So it's awesome. It's really, yeah. Any other questions? Please throw them at me. I'm not afraid. Yeah, that's the struggle section. Struggle is the hardest. It's hard to find the right thing that allows you to struggle, but you will know when you activate flow state. You come out of your meditation, and it literally feels like you are on NCT and weed at the same time. It's unreal. It's like nothing you felt before. You can't miss it. And suddenly you're just like, okay, I'm gonna go to work. And everything feels like tunnel vision in the best way possible. It's like, this is what I am destined to do. And there's no separation between the task at hand and your path in life. And everything just becomes so clear. And I've entered flow state a couple times and I meant to do something in flow state. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's the right thing to do right now. And I just walk away and I do whatever it is that I think is the right thing. And I'm normally pretty happy with my decision. Everything just becomes so clear. It's awesome. It's like taking shrooms. Every time I take shrooms, I come out. I do shrooms every 3 months for therapeutic purposes. I come out and suddenly I know exactly what I'm supposed to do with my life. Major clarity. If you've never done shrooms, it is literally one of the coolest experiences ever. You learn so much about yourself. Yeah, you get it. Any other questions? Yes. Come up here. You are saucy. I'm not. Oh, I like that question. Have I ever tried fasting or any kind of diet with flow? I'm pretty strict on my diet. No, I'm not. I'm more strict than most people would be if they've been on a good diet for 3 years. I have thyroid disease and I've struggled with it for a long time, so I have to be fairly resilient in keeping up my diet. I cheat every once in a while and sometimes I just fall off the wagon, but you know. Anyway, I do intermittent fasting. I also eat meat, and I avoid carbs and grains. I don't eat a lot of sugar, but that's my weakness. When I cheat, it's sugar. I really don't drink alcohol. I think that, there's a lot to say, and I'd like to do a lot more research on that and talk about that, but I believe, and I don't have any research to back this up, but based on everything I've learned in the past, everything I've researched over time, so I don't have any direct research on this topic, but I would wholeheartedly put money on the fact that flow state is better if you are eating right. Mainly because it allows your body to function at its highest level already, and you're not putting crap into it, so it gives your body more energy in flow. So, and it would probably make you less tired when you come out of flow and able to cycle back in quicker. So, different diets work for different people. I know there's a difference between endomorph, exomorph, So, I mean, I wouldn't just stick with my diet. I would find something that works for you and stick with it. So yeah, eating in the right way for your body is, I think, essential to being able to achieve mental freedom and clarity. I mean, when I was on paleo, the amount of clarity that I felt instantly, like within like 2 weeks, I was like, wow, why was I eating bread? I didn't even realize that I felt that bad until I tried bread again, and I was like, wow, it feels so slow. So yeah, no, I think diet is really important. But yeah, I'd like to do some more research on that. Thank you for bringing that up. Things I'm curious about. So, anyone else? Come on, don't be shy. All right, to have you, yes. Self-hypnosis. Okay, that's actually a really good topic. So I tried self-hypnosis. I actually do a self-hypnosis before bed every night for abundance, mainly because I'm a capitalist and I'm completely obsessed with my job. In fact, I'm going to say this, and I might get moved off stage. I kind of can't wait to get home to my job. I love my job. My job is the best, mainly because I don't have a boss. So it's pretty awesome. I work on 100% commission, so it's all my work all the time, and I just feel empowered every time I make any money because I know that I did it myself. It's just the best feeling. Terrifying as well. But yeah, self-hypnosis for abundance. I do it every night. I don't know if it works yet. It's kind of something I've recently added in. I tried one for diet, and me and food, we have an interesting relationship. It's not very positive. That's okay. I'm working on it. It's one of the things. But I think that the abundance one has made me feel positive, but I'm not sure that it's not a placebo effect. So, I think that it works, but I'm not sure that it would still work if I thought it didn't work. Does that make sense? Placebo, yeah. So, any other questions? Oh, what's my time like? I feel like I've been up here for ages. Go ahead. What's my job? I'm in sales. I actually sell cell phones for Verizon. And believe it or not, boo-boo class. It's the best job ever. And I can take time off and help if I like. Because they don't care. I'm at 100% commission. It literally doesn't matter if I didn't show up to my job. The team cares about us showing up, and you don't want to let your team down, so you show up during your shifts, but I can get away with almost anything. It's the best job. It's literally anarchy at work. It really is. Patrick works with me. It is literally anarchy there. We do the most ridiculous things at work. And my coworkers have been Snapchatting me all the time, dancing around the store, and just blasting the music. Did you see the topic? Occasionally we do work, but mostly not. Any other questions? I really feel like I'm out of time. There's no way that I'm still. It's 6:23. What time did I start? What? Oh, it's not 6:15. Sorry, my clock on my computer. It's 5:23. What time did I start? 4:40. We have 7 more minutes. Okay. Let me talk to you a little bit about meditation, I guess. So I don't know how you guys meditate. It's different for everybody. I really like to lie on the ground because I feel more connected with the earth, and plus I don't have to think about how much my back hurts, which is super distracting. I don't know how people sit in pose that. I don't know how people do that. I actually have an app. I don't know how many of you have heard of this app, but it is the coolest thing ever. Most of the major CEOs of companies actually use this app. It's called Headspace. If you don't have it, download it right now. It is awesome. It's guided meditation, and it's for every kind of, it allows for focus, which I did earlier today. It has an SOS for when you're just losing it. You can pick the length of time that you do. It's 10, 15, would not recommend starting at 20. It's very frustrating, and it will not help you launch into flow state if you're doing meditation for relaxation. If you're doing it for struggle, yeah, it's gonna work great. So, meditation has become like a huge part of my life. I really love doing it. I do it every day. I use the Headspace app. I don't even know where I am half the time if I haven't meditated, because I'm so ADD. I'm just driving, and now that I rely on meditation at this point to keep me focused. When I'm not meditating, I'm just all over the place. It's completely all over the place. But I would recommend meditation to anyone. It's very similar to flow state, except for with meditation, it's about focusing on one thing at a time. And humans normally suck at multitasking. I talked about this in my documentary, The Voice of Resistance, and if you haven't watched that, go to YouTube right now and type in The Voice of Resistance. Best thing I've ever known, bar none. It talks about this voice inside your head that tells you you can't do stuff. And everybody has it. It's this bitch voice that yells at you. And says, you suck. It just echoes you suck repeatedly. In it, I talk about how to create happiness, and it talks about using meditation, flow state, all of these things to decrease the sound of that voice and allow you to bypass that voice to be able to achieve your dreams. Because the voice is really loud when you want something. It's really quiet when you don't care, but the more that you want something, like if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an artist, putting yourself out there, love is a big one. People won't go for it with somebody that they really care about because that voice just tells them that they're not good enough. And this documentary is awesome in helping you be able to not get rid of, you can't get rid of the voice. Quiet the voice, almost like a hum that you can barely hear. And it's a 45-minute documentary. It's really long, but I really think that if you like this talk, you're gonna love the documentary. It is the precursor to this, and it's what has brought me to things like flow state and helped me discover things that have helped me expand my mind and expand my internal freedom. So, yeah, definitely check out the documentary. So there's no way. Okay, we have time. Anybody got any questions about that? No? Totally clear. Okay. Yeah, Taoism. So, yes, Taoism. Reading the Tao Te Ching changed my life probably as much as shrooms, which is a very bold statement. If you've ever done shrooms, that's a bold statement. But Taoism took me from objectivism to, basically I went from objectivism to Taoism. Very similar, but without the dogma and the high priestess I ran. I love objectivism, don't get me wrong, but it's not as open to change, and it's not as focused on the self as it claims to be. Taoism is about being able to flow like water, notice flow state, flow like water through the cracks and crevices of life. So when you come across an obstacle, you accept the obstacle and you think about ways to pass through instead of trying to push on it. I often make this exact same, I do this exact same metaphor every time I give a talk, so we're gonna do it again. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill that is too big for you to push. You just keep doing it, and you just assume that you're gonna eventually achieve it, even though you haven't changed anything, and you're actually increasingly getting more tired and more frustrated, so you're achieving less as you go along, instead of just going to get the proper tools or get someone to help you. Taoism really helps you accept that reality is reality, as Iran said, you can ignore gravity, but you can't ignore the effects of gravity. So you can keep pretending like it's not an obstacle, but it's never going to help you achieve what you want to achieve. And so Taoism was really the start to this whole path for me. And I truly feel like I'm in a great place, especially now that I've discovered flow state and meditation, and it's all because of Taoism. It's because of that book, and shrooms, that I'm able to stand before you and say, I can do anything. There's nothing that I cannot do unless it defies the laws of gravity and logic. And that's the thing, is that once you recognize the universe around you and see it as clearly as you can, you're able to work within it to get to your goals. But if you can't see the obstacles, you can't deal with them. So, and that's actually something I want to give a talk on eventually, as well as planning. It's one of the things I talk about in the documentary. So every year I'll come back and talk about one more thing that I provided as a solution to the bitch voice in the voice of resistance. So, okay, who's the next speaker? Yeah, so the fastest I've discovered I could do it was just like literally minutes ago. When I was struggling to figure out how I was going to get into flow state to do my flow state talk. So I did 3 riddles, and it took me about 5 minutes to do the riddles. And then, because I suck at riddles. And, then I did my meditation, and I came out of it, and it was like, read an NCT mind, oh man, complete rush. And I walked up to Nathan, and I'm like, I'm gonna make this talk my bitch. There's not really a set period of time. It's about recognizing the task, like Taoism, just recognizing the task, recognizing the time that you think it'll take you to accomplish the task, setting an alarm, focusing on it, just going for it. When I play guitar, I set a 45-minute alarm, and I just keep going until 45 minutes is up. And if I haven't accomplished it, I add another 30 minutes because I didn't compensate for my skill level, and I didn't properly plan. So that's one of the really important things, is to plan the activity beforehand. That's why I do the same thing every morning, because I really don't have time to plan a new activity every night. So guitar has really done a really good job for me. Working out is probably the easiest, but if you're really into riddles, actually, I think once I'm done with my polyamory dating site, which is what I'm working on, I'm starting a polyamorous dating site. That's more of a community than just dating. But once I'm done with that, I think I want to start creating an app that has like a formula for riddles based on like how fast you solve them, and allows you to activate flow state through riddles solving. So on my to-do list, I actually figured that out there in flow state. In fact, I think I awkwardly walked up to you and told you that I'm going to create this app. It just came out of nowhere. That's flow state. You come up with ideas out of nowhere. And actually, it's not out of nowhere. It was very relevant. But yeah, everything's just so easy all of a sudden, and it really makes life more fun. And who am I preventing from getting up here? We're on a break, of course. I'm talking over the break. So, unless there are any more questions, I'm happy to talk to anybody that would like to talk about flow state. In fact, if you guys want to plan a time to activate flow state, I would be happy to join you guys and help you activate your first flow state, like intentional flow state. Yes. Last question.
I've seen the access flow state in the shower. Is there anything to explain that phenomenon? Shower flow state, shower thoughts, or
Shower, thoughts, and flow state? Is that what it says?
It seems like every time I'm in the shower, it's pretty much that flow state. Meditation, if anyone can comment.
I don't know. Do you struggle getting into the tub? I'm sorry. I mean that in the most loving way. That was a joke. No, I can't explain it. It might be the activity that you're doing before it. So rushing around a lot is a struggle, and it depends. It'll depend on the activity, and then a relaxation state. I wouldn't suggest taking a bath because it's low level. But if you're going to meditate while you're doing it, then I guess it would be okay. But again, you want to keep your brain relatively active. So meditation and working out are really like the good ones. But when you remember, there's a difference between meditating for struggle and meditating for relaxation. And there's a difference between working out for struggle and working out for relaxation. So you need to plan one activity. The first one is struggle, and the next activity is for relaxation. So, and I wouldn't put meditation to struggle with meditation relaxation because you're already frustrated with meditation. So, and same with working out. So, no, I can't explain that, but if you'd like to do some research with me, I'd love to give a talk on it. Yeah, well, if you're enjoying the activity, again, it's like an intrinsic activity. You can just enter flow state accidentally. It happens all the time. So yeah, dancing. If you're really passionate about something, you're going to just launch directly into the flow state. But it's going to be random. This process allows you to control it. So, like musicians, you watch musicians on stage, they don't have to do a struggle stage. Well, they get anxiety before they get on stage. And then eventually they get on stage and they get comfortable, and it's kind of relaxing into the task. But they're performing during this whole thing. And then eventually, if you watch shows, they'll get progressively better throughout it, and that's them entering the flow state from like anxiety and then relaxation and then peak flow. And then after the show, you just see them like just song out. It's exhausting to perform. So yeah, I am gonna go get water.